see a few names up there. Okay, if we're all set, this is, I'm Larry Willett, and it is December 19th, 2023 at about 8:59, and I'm starting the meeting of the Home Inspector Licensing Board. So good morning, everyone.
Morning.
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 Good morning,
So,
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, good morning. So has everyone had a chance to review the minutes from
Yes.
September
Yes.
19?
Yes.
Okay, any questions or comments about those minutes? We have a motion to approve.
I motion to approve.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we can move on. Any comments or concerns from anybody present at the meeting today? Okay. We have the investigation division with a status report.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and
Yes.
board members. This is Janita Hamel with
Yes,
the
good morning.
Investigation Division. For the time frame September 1st, 2023 through October 31st of 2023, the Investigations Division did not receive any new home inspector complaints, and it also did not close any of the existing home inspector complaints that we might have been investigating at that time. The new report for all boards for the next 2-month time frame, which would be November 1st through December 31st, will be run by me on either the 2nd or the 3rd of January, and I will be reporting out on that at your next meeting.
Okay.
How many open complaints do we have in the home inspection board now?
For the past 2 months, none.
No, so you said that you didn't open or close any. Do we have any that are open within the last couple of years that are still going on?
I would have to go back and run reports for a year at a time to find that out, because the reports are run in 2-month time frames. And
Okay.
at every meeting, anything that's existing that is closed or inaction has happened, that is reported out in that 2 months, because that will show whatever was old that was existing, it was closed or it went to legal, or it was open in that 2-month time frame. So each 2-month segment is providing information.
Okay.
I'd like to comment, Larry,
Yeah.
I'd like to say that in my experience of being on the board, I think it's quite amazing how limited complaints that we get compared to the amount of sales and home inspections that are done in Connecticut.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always been that way. I mean, I don't know if there's probably more complaints, but they just don't reach the department.
Yeah.
You know, but no, I agree. There's little activity. I'm not sure if this is the place to ask about, but we had a disciplinary hearing several months ago. I believe the Bueno or something. And that person was given some time frame to straighten things out. When do we learn about that? I had never received any kind of report on the hearing. Is this your area, Ms. Hamill?
No, sir, it's not.
Okay.
Once
Okay.
a matter's gone for a disciplinary hearing or a settlement agreement, or it's been submitted to the legal department, those requests that you want about the action or the time frame with that matter needs to go to the legal department to
Okay.
have those questions answered.
Okay.
Larry,
very
I
good.
had to, because you had dismissed yourself.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
I ran the meeting, and after the meeting, I received a letter stating what our conclusion was, and I had to sign off on it. And what I could do is I could send you that letter if you've never received it.
Okay, so that, yeah, well, we could cover this with the legal division, but okay. I would have thought that would have gone to all the board members, but maybe that's not the procedure. So, okay. Yeah, that's that would be the conclusion that I was wondering about. But in fact, we had another disciplinary hearing when Bill Stanley was in charge, and I received a letter following that, and I didn't run the meeting, or, I wasn't the chairman.
Yeah, I
So
think
it-
mine was, I think it was the legal department had said that the chairman needed to sign off on it. And then, but I think the question that you're sort of asking, which I'm kind of interested in, is who follows that up to see if the guy actually does what he says, or what, because we had given him a period of time.
Right. All right. Well, why don't we move on, and we have legal, up on our agenda. So
Okay.
maybe they can help us with that, or look into it. So is that it, Ms. Hamel?
Yes, sir, unless there's additional questions from you or your board members.
Okay. Anyone have any other questions? I think we're all set.
No.
Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, have a good holiday season. Thank
Yes,
you.
you as
Thanks
well.
very much.
Okay, so DCP Legal is up next. Do we have anyone from legal? I guess not, huh?
I don't see anyone on from legal.
I'm sorry?
I don't see anyone on from legal.
Right.
Larry,
Okay.
I see 6 other people here. Could you just explain to me who else is at the meeting?
Yeah. Well, yeah, why don't you guys introduce yourselves? I recognize a few names, and we just heard from Ms. Hamel.
Yep. So my name's Rochelle. I'm the board coordinator here. So I'm the one
Mhm.
that you get all the emails from.
Right.
We know you.
Pamela Brown, Director of Investigations.
Okay.
Jay Cohen, Director of Operations.
Okay. Thanks. Two others. Are we there or not there? Maybe. All right. So it looks like we had at least a question for legal. No one's here representing that division, so I just let's let the minutes show that we had a question, and then we can move on to old business. On the agenda is the approval of the amendments of the regulation, and I added that to the agenda because I'd like to know the procedure for the department to notify licensed inspectors that the regs have been approved. They're in effect as of November 1st. I've been to a couple of seminars, and the licensed inspectors attending those seminars have no idea that these regs have been approved. So whoever, Rachel or Mr. Cohen or someone, whoever, what is the procedure for notifying us that we have new regulations? It's been 6 weeks since they've been effective.
I'll add to that, Larry, that in our recent chapter meeting in November, none of our membership was aware of any approvals until I brought it to everyone's attention.
Right. Well, I think, yeah, with ASHI and with the Connecticut Association of Home Inspectors, their membership was advised, but there are, I don't know how many, but many that are not members of those groups.
I'd like to make a motion as a board that we send out a notice to all licensed home inspectors and interns that these regulations have been approved and they're in effect November 1st, and they could be emailed to the email on file and sent out.
I'll second that.
Well, why don't we discuss?
Yeah, this
Is
is
there,
this is Jay.
is there a
Typically,
procedure?
yeah,
Okay.
typically those are initiated by our legal division and sent out through either by me or our IT group. I'll follow up with legal to see if they can put together a messaging for that.
Yeah, I was told when they were passed in November, it was around the 1st or the 2nd, because I had looked into it. And I was told that that list was going to be sent out, or that a notice was going to be sent out to all licensed home inspectors. So I'm not sure if we need to have a motion about this, but I would just like to see that this gets done, because we're supposed to be doing things that are in those regs, and people are not aware of it. So, I mean, there's some potential liability on their end. They're not following the regs.
So we made a motion, it was second. Let's discuss it and take a vote whether we should do that or not.
Okay. We have the motion. It was seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So that motion is passed, that the department is going to notify all licensed home inspectors. Do we have any kind of a time frame on that?
I would say within the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, by the
Well-
first of the year, let's try and get that done.
Okay, is that possible? Anyone from the department, is that possible?
As I said, I'll consult with legal. It's at their discretion.
Okay, it's at their discretion. Okay, so this is already in effect. We're aware of that, right? Hopefully we can push that through a little bit. So that everyone is.
Well,
doing their job.
Larry, how's the procedure? We asked legal whether this is something we should do or not, which obviously it's a liability thing that.
Apparently the department's going to handle that. Is that right, Mr. Cohen?
I'm going to be consulting with legal.
Okay, so if legal says that we can do it, how long would it take to get that notice out?
Sending out is very quick. It usually takes longer just to craft the wording of the message.
Okay. So Bruce, just to be aware that this isn't something that the board is going to do. This is the department.
Legal
Right.
department.
Right.
It's a legal department, but the thing is, I think we're identifying that there's home inspectors out there that are not aware of a regulation that
Okay.
should be in effect. And as a board, we want to make sure that the public is being protected. And that's one of our jobs as a board here, is to
Right.
protect the consumer. So if the consumer's not being protected, I think this is a board issue, and that if we have any power at all to proceed, we should do it in a manner that protects the consumer. So,
Well, I
so
think at this point, we've addressed it in our meeting. And it'll be on
Bruce and
record.
Larry, I think we brought this up in the last board meeting that I don't even think the 4 board members here were notified when that was approved. We didn't find out until several weeks later when our meeting happened back in
All right,
November.
let's back up a bit.
or
Let's back up a
September.
bit. It was a long time for these regs to be approved. And at our last meeting, and it'll probably reflect this, but we were told by legal that the amendments would be approved by the end of October. So we hadn't heard anything. I hadn't heard anything. And so it was probably November 2nd that I contacted legal. And they told me that, and I remember the message. It was, oh, what great timing that you checked in, because the regs were passed on or approved and they're in effect November 1st. So with that information, my discussion was that, are you going to notify all licensed home inspectors, what is the procedure? And legal said at that time that they would put out a notice. And then from that call, I contacted you guys by phone, I think, individually, and said that the regs were approved and in effect. And then Mark, I think you notified your group at ASHI.
Yep.
Stan Brzezinski notified the people at Kahi. It was in their newsletter. But the point is, we haven't received any notice from legal, and there are many home inspectors who are not in those groups. And I personally have talked to some who were unaware of the approval. So I think let's let it play out for a couple of weeks or whatever, and I'll just continue to check in with legal to see if that notice has been crafted and drafted and sent out. I think that's probably the best we can do. I'm not sure what else we can do, Bruce. We've
Well,
it's a
I think
it's
the
a
first
concern.
step, I think the first step, it sounds like, is that somebody crafts a letter to legal saying that we think that we voted as we made a decision that it should be sent out, and then somebody crafts a letter to legal saying the board has voted and approved that a letter should go out. Is that something that we should do will you approve something like that? So I don't know who does that, but that's the person I think you should contact. You should contact the person who's in communication with legal and see what the response is. Because if somebody crafts something, never hears from legal, this thing goes nowhere.
Well, I think,
This is Jay. I'm on top of it. You don't need to send me anything. I've got it from the meeting. We're all set.
okay. All right. So I think that this will happen now, that legal will be informed. I will follow up with my contact at legal that I've been in touch with in this whole process for this amendment. And are you comfortable with that?
Yeah,
Bruce?
that's fine. That's
All right.
fine. And maybe you could email back and forth with Jay and just see where we go before the next meeting.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. Why don't you, if I can be copied in any communication to legal, if it's an email or something that's being sent by email to legal to get this moving, if I can be copied, is that possible, Jay?
Yeah, I can check on that.
All right. All right. Well, let's give it a little more time. It doesn't seem like it's going to take very long. So I'll follow up on this as needed. Okay, but we'll get the word out. But all right, so let's move on. Is there any other discussion on this? Anyone else? All right. All right, let's move on to new business. There's a
Isn't it
listing
old
there.
business? What about old business?
That was the old business. Is there any other old business?
Hardship waiver request?
The hardship waiver. No, that was in the minutes. That was in the minutes from our last meeting. I think those hardships were resolved.
Okay, so no other discussion on that?
No, I don't believe so. No, they were resolved as stated in the minutes from the last meeting. Anyone else have any old business? I don't believe there was any. New business, I just wanted to discuss some continuing education credits, and I had a discussion with Rachel about the approval of courses. And I think that procedure is the same as it's been when a particular group is offering a course, whether it be Kahi or ASHI, or they would submit that course to Bob Kusmich, and it would be a 1 or 2 or 3 hour, whatever it might be. And he would approve that course. the clarification that I would like is when a school is being approved to offer, for example, a 40-hour course on home inspection. And in the past, when a school was looking for approval, they would reach out to the board coordinator, Bob, and he would get that curriculum for that school and for that 40-hour for whatever course. And we as a board, the inspectors on the board would be assigned to review that curriculum. So I'm wondering, is that the same procedure when a school is looking for approval for not just one 2 or 3 hour course, but a full 5-day course? So anyone from the department, can you tell us if that is still the procedure, or has that changed in any way for that approval? Anyone?
I'm not sure if I have been reviewing courses, but they've only been like 1 to 3 hour courses. I haven't
Right.
come across anything that has been, longer, like a 40-hour course in that sense. So I'm not
Right.
sure if the process is different. It hasn't really been communicated to me one way or the other. Also, probably because I haven't come across that yet. So
Okay.
I guess, it can kind of be if that's what you guys would like. Would you like to review the curriculum for those longer courses? I can certainly make sure that that gets communicated back.
Yeah, if that's the procedure,
Here, let's make a motion, Larry. I
I-
make a motion that any course that is going to be approval for a home inspection, a full course, come in front of the board to be reviewed.
Are you referring to
Alright.
a licensing course, Larry?
Or are you talking to CE?
No, he's talking about
Um,
licensing.
Yeah.
Licensing
Yeah,
course.
this would be a licensing course, right? I mean, yeah. I don't think too many home inspectors that are already licensed are taking full 40-hour courses.
No, right. Just want to make
No.
sure.
So it would be, yeah.
Well,
would
it
be for
depends.
like-
I mean, if you were doing like a radon certification, that could be a 48-hour or a 16-hour thing, which would be 2 days, So, I mean, some of
Yeah.
those are longer, but
Is that
Right.
you use that for CE or do you use that for licensing?
that's probably more for CE, but not
Right.
for licensing. Yeah, but still
Right.
longer.
So I say a 40, so I'll amend I'll amend it. My motion is that any course, 40 hours that is used to license a home inspection, inspector to become a home inspector should be reviewed by the board.
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so that motion passed. All right,
Well,
so
We're gonna have to review.
Larry, can I have a question?
what's
I
the
have a
statute
question,
for that.
Larry.
hang on, one at a time,
Sorry.
Mark?
Ms. Heiberg, I just had a question for an approval for, say, a CE, like a 2-hour CE approval. How long does it take to get that reviewed and approved?
I mean, in general, we're probably looking at about 24 to 48 hours. I'm usually pretty on top of it, but if we do get slammed with a bunch of applications, it could take a little bit longer. I don't think we
Okay.
give a set timeline just in case those situations do happen, but for the most part, it is usually a pretty quick turnaround.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. Was there another question or comment, Jay?
I was just gonna say, we'll have to look into the statutes about approval of licensing courses. I'm not sure because that doesn't go through the same process as continuing education. So that would not come to Rochelle and myself, I don't believe, but I'll look into what that review process is.
Okay. Okay, so it doesn't look like there's a lot of activity of schools looking to get approved. So you can look into that and let us know at our next meeting. That it just to know that that's what the procedure was. Now, I don't know if that's in the statute, but that's how we had done it in the past, was to, that curriculum was submitted and then passed on to the board. And then we would review it, and then at our next meeting, we would get back to Bob with that review.
Larry, are there new resources in the state for licensing? I know of a couple, that I was familiar with when I was getting my license, 10 or 11 years ago, but are there new resources in the state opening up that, that we can make aware to, interns that we have or anyone else that might be looking to get a license down, in this
Well,
area?
there's a list on the department website.
Right, I'm
Um,
aware.
There's a list, and I think, Rachel, when you approved courses, you directed me to a different list. Do you remember that conversation we had several weeks ago?
Yeah, so we have it's a portal now almost. So it everything, all the new courses, everything that's approved is all on that one list through the portal. I think before people were looking it up via e-license, but when we changed the application process, it now communicates to the data portal. So anything within 24 hours, that'll be updated. So if I approved a course today, by tomorrow, their course would show up on that list.
Okay, now when you directed me to that list, that showed courses that were approved from various schools or organizations that offered the course, and they were just a listing. They were kind of just a random listing. And then I had mentioned to you the other listing that I had found that actually gives the school, they have some type of a number, approval number, their address, etc. Does it make sense to have a list that shows the school that they're approved, and then the courses that they offer be under their name? That list that had all those approved schools was all random, and okay, yeah. See how those are all as they're approved, right?
Yeah,
Now,
so
for
they
example-
are. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So they are broken down by company. Then they have, their phone number, the course number, and the course name. They do have to contact the companies directly for scheduling, so that we don't put everything all on this one data on this one portal, but we do have the web address and everything, so they can get to the correct company and everything, and they can search up in the top right corner here as well if they're looking for a specific school. They can search for that, or if they're looking for a specific course, they can search within the data set to find a specific course or proprietor if that's what they're looking for. But they can also, it's kind of works the same as any spreadsheet. You can kind of filter it from in alphabetical order. You could filter it by classroom hours, along those things. So
how long is a course approved for? I see that you have a course expiration date.
I think it automatically sets the date. I think it's a 2-year. I'd have to double check if you give me a second. The e-license sets the date. It's an automatic date, so I just don't know off the top of my head how long it is.
So do people have to reapply and get approval when it expires?
They do, yes.
See, a lot of the training now, schools are offering online, and some of the procedures is that the school may, you join as a member, and so if I'm a member of a school and I want to know if they're offering a course, I've got to search through this whole list unless there's another way. If you say, up in that data set, find in this data set, if I were to enter the school, then I'm just trying to get the school and what they offer together.
Sure. Yeah. So if I search, let's see, I search American Home.
And Larry, are e-courses or online classes, are they accepted for CE credit for the state for license renewal? Because I was under the impression that they weren't.
I believe they are. What, maybe I'm misunderstanding what you're asking, Mark. Say again.
Yeah, and again, I might be confusing it with maybe in some of the areas where, you know, the courses are offered, they may not be registered with the state. But I thought for some reason that online learning or online courses for CE for license renewal in the state weren't accepted, that it had to be classroom only.
No.
Online is accepted.
Online is okay. Thank you,
Yeah.
Jason.
Yeah. That's
And
what
there
Rachel
was
has.
there was
she's
a
been
question about
approving.
schools. We don't approve schools. We only approve courses, and in that process approve, you know, who is offering it. We don't approve the school in and of itself. Those school numbers that you referred to, those are actually issued by PSI so that the schools can upload transcripts of course completion to PSI, but those numbers aren't assigned by us and aren't used by us.
Yeah, we have a number for
Okay.
our coastal chapter, Larry, that we can use if we wanted to
Okay.
present a class. We have one of those numbers assigned to us.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm looking at this one that we just brought up, All American Association. There's a 120-hour course. And that wasn't approved. Well, that curriculum was approved, right?
Yes, that's
Do we know when that curriculum was approved?
let me look on. It has an expiration date of 2025, so I'm assuming it was May of this year, but let me look. Yeah, it was May of this year, May 2023.
May of this year. So,
Mhm.
so a home inspection course worth 120 hours. What was in the curriculum? Who looked at it?
This was before I was on the team, so I'm not sure what the process was before, unfortunately.
All right. Well, it just seems like we have a board of home inspectors, and we want to be sure that they're not, you know, have a 3 hours of typewriter maintenance in their curriculum. I don't
How
know.
could a course, Larry, how could a course be approved by somebody who is not a home inspector?
Well,
to approve
I'm
the
just
course?
going by what we had done in the past, and Bruce, you've done it many times. We would get a curriculum from Bob. The school would communicate with the department through him, and he would get their curriculum, give it to us, and we would review it.
No,
Based upon how many-
I agree, Larry. I'm saying how can a course be approved right now by
that's-
somebody who is not aware of what a home inspection process is?
Well, that's what we're trying to work out.
So how do we find out how that was approved?
I don't know. I guess we have to.
Jay,
I
do
don't
you
know.
know?
In looking, it looks like it was approved by me, and it was probably in consultation with, you know, with Bob as far as the process.
Okay. Okay.
So Jay, would you approve the future ones?
No, Rochelle is our current approver.
Just for the continuing ed courses.
Right.
All right. All right. So I think what we need to find out then is what is the ongoing procedure going to be for approving a school? I don't know that we can pick up that list that shows the schools. I mean, I'm not savvy enough to do it inside this meeting. I don't know if, Rachel, if you can pick up that list. It's alphabetized. Bob and I had talked about that before he retired. It was all scrambled up, and he alphabetized it. If there's a way we could look at that, but I'm not sure if you can find it. I mean, I can get it on the website easily, but all right. Yeah, so that's it right there. So this school code, that's assigned by PSI.
Yes, and again, we don't approve schools. Schools do not get approved.
They
So
don't
Larry,
get approved.
we just made a motion on the board that any licensed course that's used to license a home inspector should be reviewed by a board member. So I guess, Jay, you're gonna talk to legal whether we could do that or not?
Yeah, we're gonna have to review the statutes.
Okay. Well, then I guess that's where we have to leave it. I just don't understand. If there's been a procedural change, then fine. But we approved many of these schools that were offering licensing courses to get licensed. 40-hour course, what have you. So, I'm just.
So we're basically saying that the schools, the licensed new home inspectors does not have to be reviewed, but after they become a home inspector, the continuing ed courses do. There's not much logic to that.
So courses get approved. Schools don't get approved in and of themselves. The course gets approved as part of the course. We approve who is teaching it.
The course of licensing gets approved, the course, okay.
Yeah, I think what Jay is saying is he has no control over whether you're approved school or not. That's
Right.
not something that he is doing.
Content
Once-
you're
Well, no,
teaching is
it's not a control thing. There is no law that says schools are approved. There is no such thing as a school approval. There's a course approval. And to approve a course, you have to be an appropriate teaching body, but you don't have to be, there is no credential to be a school. There's only a course credential.
I thought you did have to. I thought that schools needed approval, like a board needed to get approval to be a school.
I don't believe that's the case, but again, we'll research the statutes.
All right.
Because you
all right.
can't, no, I believe that anybody can't just ask for approval of a course. You have to be an approved school.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
that
how
may
I
have
thought
been
it
the
was.
practice, but I don't believe that's the case.
Okay. Well, let's do some research on this. I mean, we can bat it back and forth, but I mean, let's do some research on this and find out what the procedures are. But we have an approved motion that, and if we want to stick with courses, okay, a 40-hour course. I think that should be reviewed by the board. And that's what the motion said. So let's let the department do the research and find out just what's going on. I don't know if Bob Kusmich would be helpful here. I don't know. But I think, is that enough to leave it at this point for our next meeting? We can get some information on that. Jay, you should be able to find some stuff by then, do you think?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Is there any other discussions on that from anyone? Okay. We have our 2024 meeting schedule. Everyone has that. There any correspondence? Are there any comments or concern by anybody? Okay. So do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, Mark, second by Bruce. All approved? All
Aye.
in favor? All in favor? Aye.
Happy
All right.
holiday, you
I
guys.
think that's it. Have a Merry Christmas, everyone. Thank you.
Have a great holiday,
Take care.
guys. Take care.
All right.
Like Merry Christmas.